Hi. Hi everyone, I'm Muzaffer Akay. I'm currently working with Deloitte, Turkey. But I was working at UserSpots for like 2 years. And Hande, my colleague, ex-colleague actually, I was at HubSpot last year, but this year I'll be presenting to you. Well, actually today I'll be talking about prototyping, especially mobile prototyping. To give you an idea where it all started, back when I was a kid, like I was really interested in model making, model ships, and all those things. And then it moved on when I became a professional, a UX professional, because I became really obsessed with UX prototyping. I was really obsessed with digital prototyping, especially mobile. So whenever I had a project at hand, a design project, or I had hard time, difficulties with the design, I just prototyped my way out. So I found the way out through prototyping. Especially, I tried to do very detailed prototypes just to give you a better idea of the final output that we're going to see. So I divided this session into 4 parts. Why part? We're going to be talking about why do we prototype? Why should we prototype? What are the ups and downs of it? And the next step is define. We're going to define the project that we have at hand. And then as we define it, we'll find our way to the next step. And then we're going to resolve. After we resolve it, we're going to execute. And I'm going to show you these steps that I tried to define myself. First, we'll start with why. Why do we prototype? Why should we prototype, actually? We should express ourselves. Like, you should express yourself to your customer, to your colleagues, to anyone you're working with, and also you should express the project you have to yourself. Because when we have an output like this, and we give the design outputs, which are PNGs, Photoshop files, to our customer, or show it to anyone that we have, we can tell that this screen goes to that. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't show us how it is made. As we look at the screen on the left, it can become the one with an interaction on the right, but we have to show how it's done, and we have to test it. So what we do is we prototype. So as we prototype, we can show everyone the project that we have, and also we can define ourselves better with the moves that we make with the prototype. The other reason is testing. You should test yourself and test the project that you have and iterate, always iterate. The testing part is really important because you have to make sure that if you made any mistakes, or before you move on with your project, you have to make sure that everything is okay and everything is ready to go. So that's, I'm going to show a video which is from the Hepsi Burada project, tablet app, which is not currently used, but the one that we designed, we prototyped and tested the left hamburger menu on the left bottom side. The thing is, at the beginning of the project, we had to make sure that the menu can be found. So, after the decision was made to move on with the hamburger menu, we prototyped it and quickly showed it to our colleagues, showed it to the people walking on the street, and we tried to make sure that it works. And so we then moved on with our project. That's why the testing part is very important, and we should do it at every step of the project. Our next step is defining. Well, define comes with set of questions. The first question is, what do I need? Do I need to show the software developer guys the navigation only? Or do I need to show my customers what I made and test it? Or do I need to impress my customer? So after I respond to those questions, we will move on to the execution part, which we will talk about tools. Well, who is this output for? Who is this output for? We have to respond to this question too. It was just like the first question. We have to make sure who we're going to test it or who we're going to show it to. And how much time do I have? Which is the most essential question, because prototyping is generally and should be done in the time that we have, which is very short in most cases. So if you have just an hour, we don't want to go to a very detailed, high-fidelity prototyping. We want to make sure that we keep it short and we keep it at precisely. So if you have an hour, a day, a week, we have to make sure that how much time do we have, and so that we can choose the tool and we can move on accordingly. Resolve. The resolve part is where we make sure we pick the right tool, we move on with the right project, and we make the right steps. The first thing is low versus high fidelity. So this depends on the design that you have too. In Turkey, we generally, the interaction design steps, we generally go with high fidelity. It's because our customers generally don't really know what UX design or interaction design is, and we can't go with boxes and let lorem ipsum texts. So we try to do it high fidelity in most cases. So when we do that, we pick our tool accordingly. When we move on, we can show you that Sketch, low fidelity, and high fidelity are the three different cases that we have at hand. Sketch, anyone can prototype a sketch. There are tools that can help you sketch in 30 seconds. That's really easy. Low fidelity is also a very easy case too. If you have a very lowly detailed design, you can prototype it easily. You can learn you can learn any tool in 2 minutes. That's not a case too. In those two cases, you can use tools like Flinto, Marvel, POP, which is paper of prototyping. Those tools can help you prototype in 5 minutes. But the high fidelity, which I really try to spend some time on, that's the real case. That's when you need to spend some time and try to have an output as best as you can. The difference between high fidelity and low fidelity comes in a few steps. First is visual. You can put up some boxes with some lines in it, or you can put some colored real boxes, banners, and then real deal. So the difference between them will determine the tool that will be used on prototyping. On function base, you might want to make sure, if you're going to go on detailed prototyping, you might want to make sure that you design as functional as possible. You try to show as many details as possible. And the content. So if you go real content, then your details go up, then the prototypes get real as possible. And after this, we're going to move on page-based prototyping. Page-based prototyping, I divided the prototyping, well, actually, it's generally divided into two. One is page-based prototyping, and one is layer-based prototyping. And as I showed in two slides earlier, the lowly detailed designs should be prototyped with page-based prototyping tools, because they take very less time. This is POP, paper of prototyping. With this tool, you can take pictures, and then you can just draw some lines, and then when you press this, it moves on to that, and you can define those very easily. This is for you don't even have to be a professional. Even if you're just interested in UX, you can draw some things and prototype it and send it to your colleague who's really a professional of this, so that he can draw a more detailed UX or UI. And I wanted to make sure we have a step to the next detailed designs, let's say. This is the Napkin Sketch tool, which is an app. You can download it. The Napkin tool allows you to draw mobile designs on your cell phone. You don't even have to be a designer again. You just put up some boxes and photos, and you drag and drop, and you just make some interfaces with your tool. So if you're really interested in sketching, just draw it, and then download a tool like Napkin, and then you can draw a more detailed interface with this. But when we move on to the tools that generally professionals use, Flinto is one of the easier tools that we can use on mobile prototyping. In some time close, they just introduced Flinto for Mac, but we will be mentioning about Flinto Lite, which is the online tool, which is the one that you can see on the picture. You just define the spaces and move on to the next screen. Really easy. Marvel is also really easy. Define the spaces that you can interact with and then move on to the next screen. This is just a short video of how you prototype with Marvel. The difference between Flinto and Marvel, you can have more interactions with Marvel, and you can, let's say it's more user-friendly for you to use, so I would pick Marvel in any case. Page-based prototyping moves on like this all the time because you just define the spaces and move on. And we'll move on to layer-based prototyping, which we will mention in the rest of the time. First, I will mention about Axur or Azure. I don't know what it's really called. This is a tool for you to prototype very detailed web interfaces, but I don't really suggest for you to use it in a mobile case, not in most cases. For a mobile case, from this moment, I'll be talking about the Pixate tool. This is just for mobile designs you have. Pixate allows you to do a very detailed prototype on your own, and you can just learn it yourself. It will take some time, but at the end, you'll come at a point where you can do anything with the design that you have. I don't know if you can see this, but this is just an interface that I just showed. The left part is, these are the same screens, but the right part is just the way it's, just you scroll, and it happens to be the right one. So I'm going to show the video in a moment. The left one has your name on it, your mail on it, and it has the settings written on it. So if you show the video, we will show you how you can transition the design that you have in a case that you scroll. What we do in these kind of prototypes is that you define every single asset that you have, and in any case, any interaction that you have with the screen, those assets move, they fade, they reorder, they move to another part. So you just define those kind of things. And this is the interface that you see on a Pixate tool. So right now, we're looking at the settings. So when he scrolls, the settings fades away. And then you define all those things to every asset that you have. At the end, you'll have a working design as you wish. So we'll come to the part where we execute. The execution part, I'm going to be showing you a case, a project that we had a year ago. So we had to prototype some things for this project. I'm going to be talking about Çiçek Sepeti. Aras also, I don't know if he's here, but he also talked about the Çiçek Sepeti. More than a year ago, we had a project with them, which is mostly live at the moment, but not everything is the same. But we prototyped a few things for them. So when I was in user spots, so I'm going to be showing you the outputs that we made and why we did it and how we did it. This is we try to do let's say a finder, product finder in this case, and what we try to show is how this interacts and moves when the user presses the specific spots. So in this case, when he presses to the spot, everything moves up and down. The selections come up, and then you pick it, and it fills it, and it comes to the next screen that you have. If you would have sent this as 2 PNGs to the customer, then they would have to guess what happens in between. Now they don't have to guess. Now they know how everything moves on. Now, when they press the part where romantic writes on, like when they press, everything moves up and down, the selections come up, you pick it, and then you move on. The next part is the scroll part. When the user scrolls, we wanted to show how these things move to the, this is not the perfect prototype right now, but still, we wanted to show how things move as we scrolled. So this is a good way to show that. The next one is the swiping action. Because they had different categories, we wanted to make sure when they swipe, we wanted to see the best of animation, like the animation that we had in mind. So in this case, as you can see, the color behind changes, the products below changes, and then the categories change. And then we also wanted to show it slowly so that we can see the transitions easily. This is how one of them looks like in the tool. Every layer is defined. Every layer is separated. So if you interact one of the layers, the other layers are affected from it. So every layer interacts with each other, and then you come up with those results. Well, don't. I'm going to show you like what you shouldn't do with layer-based prototyping, because I tried to do it, and that was not the best of ideas. This is, I don't know if you can see it, this prototype, Pix8 prototype, has 131 assets, and which is like the most stupidest thing I've done. Don't try to have a lot of assets in a layer-based prototype, because then you go into trouble, because like every asset moves on its own, has their own character, and like when you try to do it, you have to make sure everything works perfectly, like, and it doesn't. Like you shouldn't. Like if you want to show the navigation only, then just go with page-based only. Just show the navigation by layer-based. But if you want to show more detailed animations, just go into layer-based at that point. Because if you want to do the whole project working perfectly, then it's a very big file. This is the output, by the way, but it took me like 2 days to do this, and it shouldn't. Like 2 days is a long time for a prototype. The other things just took like half an hour, maybe 20 minutes. So it shouldn't take that long. This works like an app. This is the first stage of the project. It changed after this, but still I wanted to show it. It had like most of the interactions. It was working in most cases, but still it was not the best idea to execute. You shouldn't try to do this. And this is what a project like that looks like. This is one of the tab bars on the canvas, and look at the reorder layers it has. In every move that you make, it has to reorder or move to another spot, because like you have to consider everything as you do one thing. Everything moves according to each other, connected to each other. So it reorders itself in every action that it needs to. Like when another page comes in, it needs to go down. When another comes in, it needs to move up. So you have to consider everything that just drives you crazy. So at the end, what we did is we talked about why we prototype and what are our motivations in prototyping. And then we defined our project. We asked ourselves a few questions, and we tried to define what we had at hand. And then we resolved it. We resolved the case. At the resolving part, we determined our tool, how we're going to move on, how much time do we have, and what we want at the end, and then we executed it. And then execution moves on with testing, iteration, and all those things you think you need. And then that's it. You can like mail me, contact me. I can send you the prototypes that I've done on Pix8 or any other tool. Share anything that you might need. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, I have like 10 seconds. Sir? Yeah?
How to assure that every single movement and animation and stuff that you do in Pixelate is going to be done in development easily?
You don't.
That's why.
You don't. Yeah, you just pretend that it's going to be made, and you just wish that it's going to be made. You just try to show the best way it can be done, and but you can never make sure the software developers can do that.
Okay.
But you just try to give the best output to your customer, and try to test it with the best output that you have. But you can never make sure it will be the final output.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more? Over there. Last question.
Related to that, so you said that you can't make sure that it can be developed as the same way.
Yeah.
So where is the developer's input while doing the prototypes?
Well, it depends on which side of the table you are. If you're like doing this separately to the, like, if you're sitting across the table, you're just giving the output to your customer, then you can't work alongside the software developer. But if it's your own tool, you have to make sure you're working alongside him. You have to communicate, and then like the thing is, the prototyping is much more important if you're an agency and if you're handing out the projects only, because maybe then you don't have the chance to talk to the software developers at all times. You have to give everything that you have, and then you step away. So like if you're on the same side, then you have to work along.
Okay, so this is just data-driven pretty much, and the research-driven. This is just data-driven and the research-driven prototype, but not working with the full team in a way. Is that right?
Yeah, in most cases, like it's more important when you're on the other side, but it's maybe less, because if you're working together, then you can always show it to him, you can always talk to him, and you can always work along with him. But if you don't have that chance, this is much more important as an asset.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.